Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, where the undead come to life through thrilling stories. In today's tale, Horror in the Highrise, we follow a group of survivors fighting to escape a skyscraper overrun by zombies. You won't want to miss a second of the action, so stick around to see how it all unfolds. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to hit like, share it with your friends, and drop a comment below about what you'd do in a zombie outbreak. And of course, subscribe for more spine-chilling tales from the world of the undead. The morning sun had barely touched the city when Samantha Morgan's alarm clock jolted her awake. She groaned, hitting the snooze button. It was going to be another long day at the office, but today, there was a strange feeling in the air. She shrugged it off as just a Monday blues. Samantha lived in a sleek, modern skyscraper, the Pinnacle Tower in downtown. It was a beautiful building with glass walls that sparkled in the sunlight. She quickly got dressed, grabbed a quick breakfast, and headed to work. Little did she know, this day would turn into a nightmare. As Samantha walked to the elevator, she noticed something unusual. The usually busy lobby was eerily quiet, the concierge at the desk was missing, and the usually bustling coffee shop was empty. Samantha thought nothing of it and pressed the elevator button. The ride up to her office was uneventful until the elevator jolted and stopped between floors. Samantha's heart raced as the emergency lights flickered on. She pressed the button to call for help, but the elevator didn't respond. A muffled scream echoed through the small space. Samantha's fear grew, and she banged on the elevator doors. Suddenly, the doors began to open, revealing a scene of chaos. The lobby, usually a place of calm and order, was now a scene of horror. The glass walls were smeared with blood, and the floor was littered with debris. People were running and screaming, some desperately trying to barricade themselves behind furniture. Samantha could see what looked like people attacking each other, only they weren't acting like normal humans. Their movements were jerky and unnatural. Panic set in as she realized the truth. These were zombies. Samantha sprinted out of the elevator and down the hall, her heart pounding. She needed to find a safe place. She ran past her office, ignoring the pleas for help from her colleagues. There was no time to stop. She reached the emergency stairwell and began to climb, hoping to reach a higher floor where she might find safety. As she climbed, the sounds of screaming and moaning grew fainter, but she could still hear occasional thuds and crashes from below. After what felt like an eternity, Samantha reached the rooftop. The view was stunning, but it was not comforting. The city below was in chaos. Fires burned, cars were overturned, and people ran in every direction. She saw a helicopter in the distance, but it was too far away to reach. Samantha's thoughts raced. She needed to find other survivors and come up with a plan. She scanned the rooftop and saw a small door leading to a storage room. She cautiously opened it and stepped inside. To her surprise, she found a few other survivors huddled together, looking scared and exhausted. Among them was Marcus, a security guard from the building. He looked up and recognized Samantha. "You made it," he said, relief evident in his voice. "We need to find a way out of here." Samantha nodded. "Do you know if there's another way down? The stairs are too dangerous." Marcus shook his head. "We have to be careful. We've seen a lot of zombies in the stairwells, but there might be another option. There's a maintenance ladder in the storage room that leads to the lower floors. It's risky, but it's our best bet." The group decided to give it a try. They carefully made their way to the maintenance ladder and descended slowly. The building was eerily quiet. The only sounds were the occasional creak of the ladder and their own heavy breathing. As they descended, they saw the aftermath of the chaos: overturned furniture, broken glass, and signs of a struggle. They finally reached the floor where the maintenance ladder led them and found themselves in a dimly lit corridor. The group moved cautiously, trying to avoid attracting any attention. They had to find a way out of the building and avoid the zombies. The hallways were filled with overturned furniture and debris, but they pressed on. Eventually, they found a stairwell that seemed relatively safe. They descended carefully, checking each floor before moving on. The zombies were still present, but they seemed to be concentrated on the lower floors. After what felt like hours, they reached the ground floor. The lobby was still a mess, But it was quieter than before. The zombies seemed to have moved on or been killed in the chaos. The survivors quickly made their way to the building's exit. As they pushed open the doors, they were met with a sight that took their breath away. The city was in ruins, buildings were burning, and the streets were filled with panicked people and more zombies. They knew they couldn't stay in the city. They needed to find a safer place, away from the chaos. Samantha and the others quickly made their way to a nearby park, hoping to find some refuge. The park was relatively quiet, and they found a small, abandoned building where they could rest. They were exhausted but relieved to be out of the skyscraper. As they sat in the building, trying to make sense of the day's events, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of despair. The world had changed in a matter of hours, and they were left to survive in a new and terrifying reality. But even in the face of such horror, there was a glimmer of hope. They had survived the initial wave of the zombie outbreak. And as long as they stuck together and stayed alert, they had a chance. Samantha looked at the other survivors and knew that their fight was far from over. The city was a dangerous place now, but they were determined to survive and find a way to rebuild. As the sun set over the ruined city, Samantha and her new friends prepared for the long road ahead. They had faced unimaginable horror, but they had also found strength and hope in each other. Together, they would face the challenges of their new world and fight for their survival.